week 4. No, 3. This is our 3rd week of doing.
I can't count 3.
We're talking. We've gone state seasons. We've gone kind of tags, and actually, we're in one of my favorite things to talk about, and think about is like scouting, e-scouting. 2 different types of things, but basically, what you try to do is get as much information as possible.
Yep.
So, well, tell me the way that you do it. What's your process for scouting an area?
So scouting happens both before and after you have your tag. So like if you're looking at an area, you're not sure if you want to put in for it, you kind of scout, get a kind of a general idea. And this typically is just like a map, right? So Onyx, getting a rough idea, looking at elevation, look at private versus public, looking at timber, looking at recent burns, things like that, road access, not road access, wilderness versus BLM, blah, blah, blah. Once you have your tag, you kind of dial in a little bit, and now you're like seriously looking at an area, seriously looking at what you're planning on hunting.
Yeah. So you start with like e-scouting, because you can't fly to every area that you want to look at.
Yeah, so this is primarily just e-scouting. We'll get into like the boots on the ground and like scouting as you hunt or just before you hunt once we kind of get this part figured out first. So what I look at primarily for elk country is a good mix of timber and open areas. So places that I can glass and confirm that there's animals there without just seeing sign or without hearing bugles and things like that. I like kind of that good mix of dark timber, but next to open parks. So first thing in the morning, I might see them out in the open. Last thing before dark, I might see them out in the open. You're primarily going to kill them in the timber though. You're killing them after they've come to go back to bed, and you make a calling segment on them once you know kind of where they're at. That's the one time that they're ever truly stationary.
And that's when you see them in those epic like bow hunting elk videos where they're screaming and they're moving through the lodgepole pines or whatever. And
right.
Just,
dark timber, whatever, wherever they feel safe and secure, that's likely where you're going to kill them. So it's a good idea to have a mix of that close by to where you can physically see them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can't see them in the timber. So
how are you finding dark timber? Like, how are you using like an e-scouting? What e-scouting tools do you use?
Primarily just Onyx. And I'll use that 3D tool. I'll look at, they have filters that show what is the north-facing slopes and where that cover is at. You can kind of just see it from the topo though, and look at a mix of satellite with topo and find the benches in those dark timbers. And that's typically where they're going to at least congregate to bed. At least that's what I've found. So north-facing slopes close to burns, north-facing slopes next to any sort of water source is always good.
Why do they like burns?
Fresh green up.
Yeah. So stuff burns down, it clears the canopy, because a lot of times those big trees are kind of blocking the sunlight from stuff growing up, say for deer. You burn it down, that green comes up, they browse on that.
Exactly. Now that depends too on like the severity of that fire. If it absolutely nukes it, like Cameron Peak, it looks like the freaking moon afterwards. That takes a long time to come back to life. But
how many years after a burn then are you waiting?
Again, it all depends on the fire. It could be next year. It could be 5 years.
Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kifaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kifaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kifaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kifaru International. Yeah, because I asked, because I'd seen like some people say like 2 years and some are like, no, that year, and I guess it really just depends on like how hard that place got.
How hard it burned. Like I said, that Cameron Peak fire, the low, troublesome wilderness, then that one burned, that was a ball burner.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But then I've hunted them that same year in Montana and had it be awesome.
Yeah. So I think I'm very like, when I think of things like in steps. So, and what I like about this, what we're trying to do with this series is go big and kind of go narrow. So taking that idea when it comes to scouting, like what's your big view? What do you like? You pull up a whole state. Is that where you're doing, or you're starting like, what's the biggest view you're looking at?
The biggest view is going to be my huntable area. Yeah. So if I have a general tag in Montana, it's half the state.
Yep.
If I have a archery tag in Colorado, it's that unit. And then I'll kind of find little subgroups inside of that, whether that's this ridge system, this canyon, this drainage in my one unit in Colorado, or this unit, this unit, this unit, this unit, this unit in my half of Montana that I can hunt. And then I kind of break apart all of those individually and say, this is what I like about this. I like this one because there's private, and I know there's bulls on this private, or I know there's elk on this private, and there's drainages that connect this into the public. So there's a good chance I can pull a satellite bull off that herd bull.
Yeah.
I like this one because there's no roads here. Someone's going to really want it if they go into there. I like this one because it's all dark timber on a mesa, which is a flat. Elk love that. Any flat section that has dark timber, it's hard to get in there because the wind is going to be swirling on top of that mesa, but you know they're going to be there. So little things that you pick up e-scouting over the years, you can kind of put together. And then once you do get boots on the ground, you can be like, yes, this is what I thought it was. Yes, the elk are here. But the biggest thing that I've learned over the years, if like I've found areas on the map that look awesome, and maybe they've been awesome in years past, but they're not this year, get the hell out of there. Don't waste any time.
So you're just like,
if they're not there,
cutting things out.
Like,
is your scouting strategy then cutting things out first and then like using what you cut out to
I don't cut anything out on the computer.
Okay. Oh, really?
The only stuff to get, unless there's something that obviously is glaring, like, nope, this is a deal breaker. I don't want this. Like, you can go on Google Maps and see where outfitters have made outfitter camped locations on Google Maps.
Like cut it out or something in the woods?
No, it's literally where like it's labeled on Google Maps. Like we can say Horseshoe Outfitters drops a pin there, and they created a location for people to search. I don't know why they would do that, but it's on Google Maps.
And you just find those and
yeah, and be like, oh, I don't want to be next to an outfitter that has horses.
Because they'll beat you in. They're faster.
No, they've been there for a month.
Right.
I don't want to be there. They've hunted those elk.
Yeah.
Like for weeks.
The elk, no, yeah, they're pressured.
Yeah. So little things like that you can pick up on that kind of either say, yes, this looks good, or no, it doesn't. But I don't completely sign something off after I've determined it looks good until I get boots on the ground.
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence. You're just keying in good spots, and you're not whittling it down until you're there.
Right. I can find the biggest thing that I look for that is where most of these elk have been killed from is that bench that I shoot them on midday. I haven't killed very many early in the morning, and I haven't killed very many late in the evening. It's typically after they've came back up the mountain after feeding and rutting or getting water, whatever they did in the dark, getting up onto that bench where they feel safe and secure, and they bed down with their cows. And then I find where they're at, usually with the location bugle, and then break his barrier of comfort. And once I've done that, he will stand up and come see what I'm doing, or come challenge me, or come see the lost cow that he thinks that I am, comfortably leaving his cows there because it's middle of the day, they're bed.
And he knows he's protected from on all ends.
Right.
His island.
And he's not afraid. The biggest thing is he's not afraid to lose his cows, because he won't do that early in the morning when his cows are up and moving and another bull can slide in and steal them. Right now, he's got his harem bedded down. He's like, I need to go defend my cows from this bull, or find this cow that got lost.
Just piss him off.
Piss him off, or make him think one of his cows left him.
Do you hunt wallows that much?
The first 2 years I did, and I've kind of found that in the areas that I hunt, at least, most of the elk are either getting their water on private at 2 o'clock in the morning, or I've just never had great luck on public wallows.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of
people set up there a lot. Is that what you find?
People do, because like they see the videos of elk coming crashing into these wallows and throwing mud around, and I'm sure that does happen, but in my experience, I've seen way more mountain lion and black bear come in to drink than I have elk ever coming to wallow in daylight hours. Now, if you go there the next day and it's like tore to shit from elk, obviously they were there in the dark. But most of the time that I've been around water or in a wallow, it's at night. They're not coming in daylight hours.
Interesting. Okay. So a lot of guys will write into us and say, hey, I can't visit this spot in the year. I get like one shot to go out. Like I can't make a trip in the spring or whatever, or summer to go scout. I can only go once. What's your advice to a guy like that?
If you can only go once, make your hunt as long as you can, and then be extremely mobile. Like, don't show up with a wall tent and all this gear that you really don't need that inhibits your movement.
Get a U-Haul.
Be whatever. Just be mobile. Like, one of these totes here and a backpack is all that I pack when I fly out to an area to hunt. Don't bring the kitchen sink with you. Be able to move, because if that isn't the spot that you thought it was, you're screwed. Like, you have half a day into setting up a wall tent and all this crap. Just be mobile. And don't be afraid to completely write something off, like a toxic ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. And this is bad, cut it off, be done.
Yeah.
Like, there's
ruthlessly cut it out.
I am not hearing or seeing what I thought I should. I'm not waiting for elk. You move. Find something else.
Well, we've done that even for bear. We traveled the state of Montana.
And move in the dark when you can't kill anything.
You hunt all day. You're tired.
But you
see more animals.
Again, you're talking about a guy who says, I have 7 days. You can sleep when you get home.
Yeah.
Like, you have 7 days. Yep.
Bring some tobacco and caffeine.
Something. Yeah.
You know, you can get a lot of
both of those have left my life, and now I'm lost.
Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode is also brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out. You're e-scouting, you're scouting. When you go in with boots on the ground, do you scout during the year prior to hunting? Do you try to get out there a few times?
For elk, generally, no.
Is that just because you know those areas?
No. Right. It's because I kind of know what to look for and why I'm looking for it. So if it's areas that I've been in year out, of course, yeah, I kind of know the area, and I know not so much that there's going to be elk there, but I know that I should see elk in the first 2 days. And if I don't, I'm out. If it's like this year, I'm probably hunting a completely new unit because I'm going 4th rifle. I know nothing about it. I've never been in there. But I can kind of put a plan together based on what I know about elk and what they're going to be doing that time of year, that these are the likely places that they're going to be. And if this isn't it, then plan B, C, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you just have kind of a preconceived idea of what your next move is always going to be if you need that.
Okay. That makes sense. I want to end with this. And then I think next week we get into like packing and getting ready to go. But what I want to end with is, if you get on your computer, got Onyx on your computer, you're looking at, you're talking 4th rifle or whatever. You're scrolling through Onyx and you're looking through the map, and something just jumps out. You see, you're like, that is like the most ideal spot that has all the conditions that I want. What does that spot look like for you?
Hard to get to, close to private. If I'm looking at 4th rifle specifically, close to a food source.
Because you're low elevation, because they're coming down.
Depending on the weather. But either way, nasty country, stuff that it would look like. I want to put myself in the bull's perspective, where I've been fighting the last month and a half for cows. I've been avoiding archery hunters over the counter that have been bombarding me. All the tabernacle from Utah and people from Texas coming up to hunt me. He's been harassed for the last month and a half, 2 months. Where can I go to eat, sleep, and survive and not be bothered?
Be basically like left alone.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So your core area goes from this big on the map, herding cows and running ragged and
going miles.
Right. To, I need to have a place to bed when it gets cold, get out into the sunshine a little bit, find some water, food, survive.
How small is that area for some of those bulls?
That bull was hanging out with 6 other bulls, and they were in a 1/4 mile wide pocket of timber.
Really?
And I don't think they ever left it from that point until
they would kind of go to one corner and just kind of move around.
They just kind of hung out in this one little basin that they felt safe in, and we went and ruined their day.
All right. That concludes
scouting.
Let's stop there. We'll I'm sure we'll have questions for it. We'll be happy to answer if you guys write in. But maybe next week we come back and talk packing for elk.
Cool.